podcast. I'm back from Mexico. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Real good.
We brought Lexie back.
Hey.
Let's hopefully, nobody farts or anything around her.
God.
Oh, Niz, you don't know. We brought Niz back too.
Not gonna fart.
No. Lexie will be embarrassed for you if you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's none of that. Solomon,
Hello. Hi.
did you miss
Hi.
us all?
Yeah, I missed you. I sent you a text. I said,
I
hey.
know.
I was going to see who's going to be darker, me or you, when you came back, though.
I'm pretty colorish.
Yeah, we gotta do a test. We'll see.
It was definitely the people in Mexico are amazing. Like, I know people are gonna get mad at me when I say this, but the Mexicans here are not like the Mexicans in Mexico. Like, they're such a beautiful culture. They're so inviting. Like, if I speak Spanish here and I say something incorrectly, people make fun of you. When you say it incorrectly in Mexico, they help you. They engaged me that my Spanish was like flying out of my mouth. And I know most of it was wrong, but they don't care.
I don't think I've ever heard you speak Spanish.
I do, but I get very shy when I'm here because people make like, if I'm around other Mexicans and I say something wrong, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a gringa," and I'm like, "Oh my God."
But that's just this whole area, right? Whether it's Southern California, because it's like whether you have let's say you had 3 dogs in a kennel that's a 10 by 10. All right, they're fine. Now you put 20 dogs in that 10 by 10. Guess what? They're all fighting for their space, and so that's what this whole area does. If you go out to other areas in United States, they're way more chill and stuff. They're way nicer and everything
More
and now you're in other
compact,
countries, they're
Yeah.
a lot more laid
It
back.
was
But here we're just like
beautiful.
we're
You know what? I've
we're all
noticing,
fighting
though,
for that same piece of pie.
I'm noticing though more of that culture, like that Mexican culture. You see a lot of like older generations like opening businesses and stuff now, restaurants and
Yeah.
stuff, and they're being cool like that.
They're
trying to like be
awesome.
more chill.
Yeah.
It sucks when you put business in anything, but like you can see more of that trying to be taught now.
Back that old school culture.
Yeah,
I
noticed that,
we
especially
were
like-
there, and I was with my aunt, and she's married to my uncle Eric. So it was, and he's Caucasian, and it's his aunt and uncle who are Caucasian. So it was me and my aunt were the dark ones, and the rest are all white. But my uncle Eric's mom is 80 years old. They've had a very interesting life. But she was drinking, and there was some time we lost her one day. Like the night before I left, we couldn't find her. My uncle was like freaking out.
Fucking genetics,
Oh.
right there. That's just genetics.
The night
Happens.
before that, we went out to the day to have like into the city to drink and shop. And I guess we didn't realize how much she drank. And when we got out of the taxi, she's like, "Woohoo!" And I was like, oh, "Joyce, we gotta like help her." Like, and his family's amazing, and they treat me so good. I had a blast. So I was very much well needed 7 days in Mexico. And honestly, I didn't want to come home. I felt like that's where I belong, and I was like, I'm retiring here.
She didn't say that on Sunday when she's like, Mexico was great, but nothing compares to this.
Oh,
So
well, because I missed the kids. I did. I missed my kids, and then I missed my son saying, "They don't want you to speak Spanish in Mexico. They want you to learn it correctly." And I was like, "No, they were very inviting to me." He goes, "Yeah," and then you walked away and they laughed at you. I was like, "No, they didn't."
Hope you had a nice vacation.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay. So today's topic, and Lexie, you have 3 boys. Niz, I want you back because you're a dad and you have 1 9-year-old boy. And then Tom, all your boys are older. My son's older. But you're a single mom, Lex.
Mhm.
You are not a single parent. You are very blessed with what you have. So together you're raising your 9-year-old. Tom and his ex raised the 4 together. Seth's dad and I probably, I'll be nice and say it was 50-50 till he was about 11. And then it was me. But I saw this. Do you want to show the TikTok?
All right, here we go.
What our society does to our little boys is a tragedy. They come into this world full of energy and curiosity and excitement. They're rough and tumble and they're aggressive. And what do? We throw them in a desk. We tell them to shut up and be still. And when they don't want to do that, we hop them up on Adderall, dope them into submission. And then on top of that, we tell them that all the qualities that make them boys are bad. And their only intelligence is if they can regurgitate a whole bunch of shit they're not interested in. We as a society have to do a lot better than this. Because one day, these boys, they're going to be men, and our society is going to lean heavily on them. Our boys are going to be the ones that are taking care of the streets. They're going to be the ones running in the burning building. They're going to be the ones putting food on the grocery store shelves. They're going to be the ones keeping the power grid on. So maybe instead of trying to neuter our boys so fast, we need to show a little more appreciation for them.
So, look, did you see how the little
What
boy
are
was just looking up at his dad, like, "Keep talking, daddy"? That was so cute. I'm a firm believer that boys should be boys,
Yeah.
and I've gone through a lot of things with Seth because Seth was always taller and heavier than other boys. So even though they're the same age, I got a lot of shit for a lot of things, but he's still a boy. I'm sorry that your kids, you know, little like I don't know what to tell you, like make your son tougher. So I went through a lot and I saw that and I've never diminished his light. Like if he could break it, run through it. I mean, we called him Stitch the first like 7, 8 years of his life because he would my daughter would be sitting there coloring and here he comes just powering through it. She'd get mad and I would laugh. That's boys. They're supposed to run and jump. But I don't feel like that society, especially them being in school all day. Like they need to sit there and they need to listen to a teacher for what, 6 different classes all day long. And with you being a boy, obviously in school, and you in school, how were you guys? Like when you were younger, did you sit there and? I have a feeling, Niz, you did not.
No.
When when I was there,
No, I'm talking like elementary school. Like, let's go all the way back to like 1st to 5th grade.
from what I remember, I mean, I was pretty active. I guess I drew. I remember like drawing in class,
Mhm.
like when I shouldn't have been, probably
Mhm.
passing little notes and shit like that. Like I guess, I mean, I probably couldn't. Like if I had to say, I could. I probably wasn't sitting still. I probably wasn't paying as much as attention as I could. I don't know. I remember a lot of that stuff, so I don't know. Maybe I
Yeah.
was retaining it without
Yeah.
really paying attention. I
Attention.
don't know what that is, but yeah, I guess like as far as like kicking back and like, oh, I'm listening to the teacher.
No.
Not really.
How
Yeah,
about
my
you, Tom?
attention span was
Yeah,
not there to pay
Yeah.
attention that long.
not
I'm
long at all.
looking
Actually,
everywhere else, maybe you got it for a minute. You can have my attention for a minute or
certain
something
stuff,
interesting.
certain
Yeah,
stuff for
yeah,
sure. You got to be interested in it.
yeah.
That's like
Well, that's
the
everybody.
bo-
That's not a boy thing. I think that's a
Yeah,
normal person thing.
yeah. I
And I'm
mean,
not
like you
discounting
said, school is
girls.
fucking what boring sometimes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was who was teaching it then that would made it interesting, and I had some just dry ass teachers. So you're sitting there in class like I want to fucking die.
Yeah. So if your 9-year-old came home and got in trouble because the teacher was like, he doesn't sit still and he's, always anxious and because that's a lot what I got with Seth. Like Seth was a really good kid. And this isn't to discount the girls because Loran, my tomboy, I mean, she's my tomboy, so she's the same way. But I felt like with Seth, he's a bad kid. He's not a bad kid. But to sit there for 6 hours out of the day and just have your full attention, like, I don't think like, I wish I woulda went back and I wish I woulda homeschooled him. I wish I wouldn't had made him sit in that class all day long and have to sit there properly and listen and do everything and nervous that he was gonna get in trouble. And I realize now that him shaking his leg became his nervous twitch,
Mm.
and he still does that. He still has, I mean, people label it ADD.
So many people do that.
Hmm.
Like
Everybody has a thing.
it is
Oh, I have it.
ridiculous.
I play with my hair. My
Yeah.
nervous twitch is my hair. Yeah.
My kid, I mean, I don't really talk about anything, especially like without my lady around and stuff like that. But like my kid's like that too. He's really he can't really focus and concentrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We let it ride.
Yeah.
She does a phenomenal job, of course, on like keeping her thumb down on that, or like watching it or controlling it the best we can, dieting and everything that we can. Because surprisingly, it's not just they're fucking being kids, like we say with adults, we get sick and shit from what we're eating and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Kids, they're starting with that now,
Oh, yeah. All the
especially
chemicals that are in the
especially these
food.
days.
Yeah.
So that's all. There's a bunch of imbalances and stuff like that that's making these kids nuts in school. And I'm not dogging on anyone's shit, but like when you're sending your kid to school in the morning with like Takis and Prime,
Oh,
shit
yeah.
like
Oh,
that,
yeah. I
yeah.
see that all the
donuts.
time.
That's
Yep.
a fucking lot of sugar and a lot of stuff. You gotta. We have to make them happy, but you have to what we're talking about. The parent.
Yeah, but the dog is wagging the tail. Or
Exactly.
the tail, excuse me, is wagging the dog. Like so
Exactly.
you're keep on catering to all this,
Can't do
you
that
know, your
anymore.
kids all the freaking time. Like, no.
And that kind
You
of
gotta
goes back
set-
to what he's saying, because we're setting like, yo, eat this shit, drink this shit. You're forcing a bunch of stuff, and it's pleasing a lot of people. So that really makes a lot of these kids just wild and crazy and stuff like that. And you know,
But I
Do you-
think it starts way before that. Like an example would be like if you guys have been to a restaurant, like if your kid has ever thrown a tantrum.
Yep.
Oh,
Like
you're right.
and if people will I've seen people like get nervous and they will get up and leave. No, I don't care. We're in this booth. I'm paying to be here. He's not bothering you. He's fine. His fingers are not in your food, so he's gonna sit here. And if he wants to stand and jump in my little booth, say something.
Well,
him be.
that's out of control
No,
though, because
no,
you
there's a
go to
difference
places where a kid's throwing food,
Well,
hitting the
that's-
freaking little lap, acting a fool. Like, hey,
Yeah.
wait a minute, man.
That's the
You know, dad, whoever, get up,
Yeah.
take your kid out. He's screaming bloody murder. Like, I'm trying to enjoy my, like, and I see that on the other part, and everyone's just like, just deal with it. Like,
The
oh,
bloody
hey, wait a minute.
That's the
those are
extreme.
You know what I
different- Those
mean?
are
Yeah.
different time.
Yeah.
Oh my
eras. We grew up in
gosh,
different
man.
times.
We
Now
grew
we're
up
like,
with
we
the-
can't say shit.
we
to
grew
this
up
little
with
kid.
you
Yeah,
wanna
you
go
can't
to
say
the
nothing to
bathroom?
them.
You're
You're just like, let them just
get out.
No, you want to go to the bathroom? That's what I tell Seth.
Everything
Wanna
was
go-
the bathroom.
And my thing was like, you want to? No. I said, then sit your ass there and be quiet. Like,
If you're gonna
but
scream, it's because I'm pinching the shit out of you. Oh yeah.
yeah. Wait till you get home. No, I don't wait till you get home. We're gonna go to the bathroom right now. But I think like with Seth and even with Lincoln, like Lincoln is a little roughneck, but he also like, especially being around us and being around all the boys. Like when the boys say something, Lincoln's like. But I also think that Lincoln knows like it's mom, and I can overpower mom a little bit, you know. But
Yeah.
when he's there, like he was there with my nephew BJ, I think the middle one, and BJ said something to him, and Lincoln was like, okay, because BJ's like 6 feet tall, and Lincoln's like.
Lincoln
"Look."
is almost as tall as me, and he's 5 years old. So
Yeah.
we go over on Sundays, and then that's the only time Lincoln gets to be around really strong. And all the men in the house, Michael, Seth, BJ, are all strong males. And not only are they ginormous, but just like
They're very-
their tone of voice, their
Yes.
posture, the way that they
That-
everything is
Yes.
stern,
That
and
is
they
for
don't. That's
sure.
not an
Yes.
example that they expect. Even like Dom too. That's not an example they see day in and day out. So on Sundays, they go in there and their chins are a little bit higher, and that's great for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
you know.
Dom said something yesterday. Do you mind if I tell?
No, go ahead.
So Lexi was telling us a story. Dominic is how old?
He'll be 13 in August.
And so Lexi said, well, when Dom was yelling at me, I stopped. I said, excuse me? And I looked right, who you yelling at? He goes, well, and then Seth goes, you yelled at your mom? And Michael goes, you yelled at your mom? And then all of a sudden you just saw his whole little demeanor like, and BJ from way over there goes, that's crazy. You yelled at your mom? like, so, and we were trying to explain to him, like, you don't yell at your mom. You don't, this is your mother. Like,
Word.
your dad is wherever your dad may choose to be. She chooses to be here because she doesn't have to be here. This is a choice. And you yelled at her and Seth's like, what are you doing? Like, and I think he held it. You could tell inside he was probably crying. He held it, but you could tell he was like, oh, I can't get away with it. Like, it's not funny that I yelled at my mom. It's not cool that I yelled at my mom. Because now you have all these grown ass 6 foot something guys telling you
Holding
that.
them accountable.
Oh.
And she was like this. Doop, 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 like yeah.
Well, it's the difference between adults and your homies, you know?
Yeah.
A teacher is going to look at you and be like, because they can't tell you nothing. Your
Yeah.
homies are like, fucking cool.
Yeah.
Your uncle will get the back of that head quick.
Right.
Wow, don't talk to your mom like that.
And that's kind of what happened yesterday.
Well, there's a respect. Like, everybody remembers that part of their life when they're like, I'm going to listen right now. Like, it's had to be kind of like scared into you. You got 6 foot guys around you. And
Oh,
this
he
and
was.
that. You're
Oh,
like,
definitely.
But they were very
probably going to listen right now. You know, it's like fear almost.
But they didn't do it like in a fear thing. They
Yeah.
were just very calm. And I
Yeah.
think Seth said the best thing was like, you can have emotion, but a real man, what do you say? A real man
Learns
to
to-
keep his emotions in check. And then like I could
Yes.
just see that. It's something clicked in Dominic's head.
Yes.
He recognized real quick.
Yes.
He was like,
I had
this
an
could get
older
bad.
homie-
This could
Because
get weird
he's
right
the
now.
one that has the most emotion out of her 3 boys. And we always say he's the one that's going to give her the run for her money. But I think him coming around us more and more and more, and he's seeing it and he's watching it, he's realizing like, oh, like let's say that he did hit her. You think that she's not going to tell us and someone's not going to say something to you? Like that moment hit his head yesterday when we were talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
I had an
That's-
older homie that checked me, like, you know, big time about that. And, you know, Like, you talk to your mom like that? Like, you think me and his brother was a badass, right, too. It's like, you think me and my brother would talk to my mom like that? That's your only mom. Like really checked me on that. But I remember when my kids were my one son was using profanity, like talk back to his mom, like, come get your laundry. I'm fucking busy right now, or something like that, right? So she told me, like, hey, he's a little out of line, and he's out of line with his brother too, right? The little brother, he's always picking on him. And she's like, I need you to have a talk with him. I said, you let me do it my way. I'm not doing it your way. If you want to do it your way, do it your way. I'm gonna do it my way, right? So I asked him, I said, hey, let's go to the gym. I'm going to hit the
Oh,
gym.
shit. This is getting
So,
real, huh?
so no, no, no. So check it out. So I took him to the gym, and he's like, yeah, let's go to the gym. We're hitting bench press. And I asked him a question. I said, hey, man, just out of curiosity, man. I said, hey, what would you do if somebody was picking on your brother? I said, Dad, like, fuck no. Like, it's my little brother. Like, I'll fuck him up. I said, oh, all right, cool. I said, hey, man, let me ask you a question. What would you do if someone was using profanity towards your mom, talking to her with profanity? What would you do? Dad, you already know, man. I'll fuck his ass up, right? I said, well, that's somebody's you.
Oh.
That's somebody's you. And so I had to take it. And I say this sometimes to people. Sometimes you have to say something to them and bring your point across, but come around the back door.
Yeah.
And because if you come direct, they put up the walls, right? If you come right out and they're like, whoop, the walls are all up, right? And they don't even want to hear you. But when you come around that way, they're like, oh, damn, I just hit you with a side shot you didn't even see it coming, right?
So do you think this, like how Homeboy's saying in that video, do you think it's the way it's getting taught now compared to then? And that's what's crippling,
I'm sure part of
quote
that,
unquote,
part of how
crippling
it's
kids.
being directed to you, but
I
and then having
Now
your
you
strong,
can't do that to
having a
somebody.
strong man,
Yeah.
figure in your home, having one lead by example,
Yeah.
and then being able to, like, it ain't just go beat his ass and just go tell him crazy, like, because that's what my wife thought it, hey, go over like and be the hammer on him. Like, no, let me get him to realize and take it in. So that right there, when he realized, like, well, you know what, your little brother looks up to you and he just copies you and want to be just like you, right? And then you're all pissed off all the time at it, right? Because he's copying you. You should be flattered, right? So ever since that day, like, that was a light bulb went off on him. He's like, dang, Dad. He cried. He's all, Dad, he started crying. So,
But with the
and I,
4 boys, did they still, being 4 boys, they still had at some point be rambunctious and fight and
all the time, man,
wrestle and,
for
like,
sure they would fight with each other. Like, oh my God, like 4 boys.
Yeah.
You know how many times like they would go at it with, each other and, me. Like once they started getting bigger for me to even break them up, I was like, oh shit, this is
There's
like,
four
hard.
of them.
like
These guys are
fight.
fucking big now. Like,
Like letting dogs
we're
fight.
all
Yeah.
throwing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Separate one.
What you said is how you asked him how it used to be compared to how it is now.
Yeah.
I feel like men were way different growing up, and not even just in the household, not even when you went to your friend's house and saw their dads or their theos or whoever, but also on the TV. There was always a strong male father, brother, something. Now on the TV,
Well-
you don't see
Every
that.
man
Well-
is a TikTok star, and
Yes,
dancing
they
around,
wear
but it's
makeup
not
and their
the
nails
same
are done. And
example.
there's
Well-
nothing against that, but for me, I've said it before.
There was way more outlets. We don't have that. You come home, play video games, right? You're not going out playing tag. You're not going out building ramps and jumping on your bike in the streets. You're not, making forts and tree houses. And so these kids don't I asked my son, we talked about before, I asked my son, he has 2 jobs, right? And he was working with different guys all the time. I said, hey, man, at both your places that you're working at, how many guys you think know how to change a garbage disposal? How many guys you know how to, change a tire, like do some basic function shit, right? He's like, yeah, like, well, would you say like 50%, at least half the guys? He go, are you crazy, Dad? He goes, like me and one other guy. Like, so these kids, because, that's how you used to learn how to, a hammer, paint, do whatever, because you were out building it. Use a shovel, man, dig a ditch, like make some whoop-de-woos with your friends. Like, but these kids aren't doing that,
not
and
playing football
they're out of
anymore.
shape, so they can't even use a shovel because they'd be out of breath by 2 scoops.
But that's
you know
what
what I
we were
mean?
saying. We were
Like,
talking about
right?
that though earlier, is that there is no more fucking dirt
So
fields.
the other
There
thing
is
too.
no more
Yeah.
like stuff to go do that at. A skate
So, like,
park.
for
You can't
me-
even go to a skate park, you're gonna get banged on or some shit.
For me, I had a newspaper route. I was 12. What are these kids
Damn.
doing now? Like my dad was like, "Oh, you want a cool skateboard? Oh, you got a bike? You know, get out there and get a newspaper route. Like, but now today, you think about it, the 12-year-old kid, right? So he's over there collecting his money, going door to door, and trying to get new.
Can't do that.
Right? Trying to get, okay, I'm just saying, trying to get new routes, right? Like, so obviously, hey, any person now, like, hell no, I'm not going to have my kids do that, right? But
There's
No,
kids
you
selling
can't-
sneakers now.
Kids can't go door to door. My son's 12, going to be 13, and we go places. I won't make him go in the girls' bathroom anymore, but I'll go with him to the men's restroom,
Right.
and I stand right outside the door and be like, Dom, your mom's right here. 'Cause every man in there is
can
going to
hear
go,
it,
I will
yeah.
run in that restroom
Yeah.
if I have to.
Right.
I just feel like boys today are not able to be little boys. Like, and I loved that. And my daughter won't be offended, but I basically had 2 boys. And I think that's why I love boys. And that's why I'm such an advocate for them, because my daughter played ice hockey with all boys, the only girl, and she didn't get her respect until she checked one of them, literally. She played soccer, softball, flag football, like. And Seth, we tried to get him to play soccer, and he was like, "I'm not running this much. I want to be right here and be the goalie." Like, but he fell in love with football, like, and he was, like I said, bigger kid, so he played with older kids and he played with bigger kids because he could never make weight. But I was such an advocate, like, let boys be boys. So when her son comes, at first my daughter was like, "Mom, Lincoln's coming." Lincoln runs in and out of the house, in the backyard, in the front yard, and nobody says anything because they know. Unless he's hurting somebody or doing something, he's a boy. Let them be boys. They're all out front playing. And one of them will come in and snitch on all of them, and I'm like, I don't hear it. Go. Like, unless someone's like has a knife out front, I don't want to go be kids. And I feel like boys particularly are not able to be boys anymore. We put them on this medicine. We shut them down. We change their whole.
Well, we have
demeanor.
nothing in school that's interesting. We talked about earlier, like, oh, you had wood shop, you had metal shop, you had things like that. Like that now you're
That's
forcing
all.
this other crap in there, and nobody wants to.
Well, that's all trustworthy stuff. If you think about it, as a society now, we don't fucking trust anybody. So we're not trusting a man to raise our kids because, in our opinion, that we're entitled to, and we're fucking putting all over the world. I don't trust him, so I'm gonna do it my best to raise this guy. And a guy's like, man, I don't trust her to be a woman, so I'm gonna fucking raise my daughter, and she's gonna be like a man. And it's like a thing, like where it's like we're just fucking comparing instead of conjoining and raising them together. And
Nobody
and,
has a village anymore. is
yeah,
what it is.
that's what it is. You know what? I just heard something. One of my mentors just said, being rich is about having a community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that,
Mhm.
you don't really have shit, dude. Power in numbers, all that stuff, you know? So it's like you have to trust in everybody around you that you're going to raise my fucking kid right when I am out there busting my ass, working my ass off.
Well, that's
when I am
what. Well, that's what's happening. Like
home.
when she goes with her kids over there, right, to these other older boys and stuff like that that are looking to these role models and
Right.
these mentors to them, and they're just like, so she's
Alina-
able to
so
be
Alina's
around
right,
that,
when
right?
It's just like, fucking let them.
Yeah.
Let them do their thing. Boom, boom, boom. Because in nature, that's what you do. Fucking dogs
It
and
breaks-
monkeys and shit don't have rule books. And
No,
school and shit.
exactly. And
They
it
just
breaks
grow
my
to be
heart.
Together, to be together forever.
Yep.
And they eat together and they fucking listen to each other and they fight for each other. They fight with each other.
That's right.
That's just natural instinct. And you're right. I think
I literally just
Everything.
Sunday.
You did like that because
You described
it
Sunday.
breaks my heart when I see mothers or fathers, just parents in general, and they dope their kids up and dims them, and then their kid is just sitting there like. And I have friends that literally I've seen it, and I'm just like, don't you want to know who they are? Don't you want to know what that 8-year-old little boy is going to be like? What entices him? What
But
intrigues him?
you got these parents though, right? You got a lot of this. I've seen it. Like,
Yeah.
here, give them the little tablet, so it's easier for you, so you can do the
They're-
things, and you can go online, and you could do your shit on your social
They're
media.
probably a
You
product
could
of
talk
that
to your
shit,
girlfriend on
too.
the phone, and they're just like throwing them to some
That's
little
probably-
movie real quick that's easy for them, so they can pull themselves back and not even fall through. Well, let me see your homework. Let me make sure you did it right. Let me do these things. So, like, man,
My sister's phenomenal. When Michael was away at college and his son was, my sister had his son all the time. He was on his tablet, like he had his tablet. And she's like, no, we're not doing that. What do you like to do? He likes to draw, and he's a really good artist already. So she would have me order him this, order these colors, these markers, these. But he skipped a grade because he's super intelligent too. He's
11?
no,
Because he's younger than Dom. So he's 9 or 10.
He's 9 or 10, and he's a really, really well-mannered, well-behaved kid. I love having him. But my sister said, we're not sitting here on a tablet all day.
that's
You
good.
like to draw? She bought him a desk. Like he would draw, he has all his colors. So when he would come to my house when I'd watch him, he'd come with a whole backpack of crayons and colors. And he's
That's cool.
super smart. He would make fun of like Gia and Emery. Like I'd ask him a math question and he'd purposely go, "Yeah, Emery, what's 2 + 9?" And Emery's like, he's like, "Oh my God, it's 11." I'm like, what? Like, why? But he's a boy. And he's just rambunctious. But my sister said, you know what? Instead of that, we're doing this. And I give her a lot of credit for that because I see a lot of parents who just put him on
That's
the tablets and do
hands-on,
that.
yeah.
So maybe he doesn't want to be outside playing basketball, but he's doing something, right?
Mhm.
Where Lexi's kid, the youngest one, he reminds me of Seth, and I will not dim his light at my house. Like you absolutely let him run around. And if one of the boys says something to him, then Lincoln's gonna have to handle whatever is said to him. Like he tried to hug BJ.
No.
We come from a loving house, and we're huggers in my house.
And you know my
On-
sister.
BJ's not very.
No, BJ doesn't even hug me. BJ barely says goodbye, and I tell him, all the time- I tell him, I was like, I'm like mold. You're just gonna grow. I'm gonna grow on you. You're gonna learn to love me.
So Dominic went to go hug BJ, and BJ goes, "Whoa, what are you doing? We don't hug around here." So here comes little Lincoln, and Lincoln goes like this, like he learned. And BJ's like, "Look, even he knows." And Dom's like, "Bye." Like he got his little feelings hurt.
Well, that's the shit, dude.
It happens.
That whatever's around them, that's what they're gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna be that. That's how it's regardless. Even if we're trying the best, if they fucking catch interest at school, if they catch interest at the house, if they catch interest wherever, they're gonna attach to that, and they're just gonna be that.
Yeah.
And our as fucking parents, just let it be, let it ride, help, guide, and all that, but don't hold back.
Seth always wanted to be homeschooled, and I was like, because it wasn't a big thing. Like even 5, 6, kids that were homeschooled, you always thought they were weirdos, right? Yeah, and they're not. Their parents are probably smarter than we realized.
Yeah, but they're not getting the same social.
But not
You know what I
everybody.
mean? Unless you got them on like a bunch of different sports teams and where they're
Well,
able
my
to get that,
caregiver
'cause-
for my grandma, she homeschools her little. Oh, she's gonna kill me. I don't know how old Xavier is, but she homeschools him. He's on a soccer team, a baseball team, and then like twice a week she meets other kids. Like they do all these things. So and
My
he's
cousin homeschools her kids, and they
Yeah.
seem to have a great time. They're actually like they'll go check out parks. and,
yes.
like just do little things on their own, and then like,
Mhm.
hey, we got to learn about this flower, so they go show them the fucking
Yeah,
flower.
Yeah.
that's cool.
You know what I mean? My homie I was in Chicago recently, and my homie he's an artist, and his name's Twice, and
That's his real name.
that's just his.
Oh, okay.
He's cool. He's cool. He's dope. Anyways, his kids are homeschooled, and for part of their education, because his thing is like letters. He's beautiful handwriting, right? That's how he shows them their like penmanship. So when his wife, I'm talking to his wife, and she's like, "Yeah, look, this is the kids like when they're at school, and they're learning all kinds of cool shit because they
Can they
do this
handwrite?
shit." Man,
They don't even teach handwriting anymore in schools at
you
LUSD.
should
wow.
see.
They don't.
Wow.
You should see. It looks
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
stuff
Thing
you
for a
see all
long
over
time.
Wow.
clothing
Yeah.
and like his dad's work. You're like, what? And they're just sitting there and they just got this beautiful penmanship.
See, that's awesome.
And I'm like, dude, talk about like that's for life.
Mhm.
If they stick to that, like, bro, all you gotta do is learn how to tattoo or something, and you're good. Like, that's money in the bank. And they're like,
But we're not
6
teaching
years
life
old.
skills though.
No.
Nah.
We don't teach anything in school. How to
Right.
balance a
And
checkbook, how to
doing
do
that
none
to
of this
those
No.
kids,
stuff.
so they're so young.
Teach them some lame ass shit that they'll probably never use. I mean,
My niece-
some of the stuff's obviously usable, but I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff that they need to
No,
teach
I
some
just-
basic life skills.
Luckily, I was able to calm myself down. But at Lincoln, and he's 5, at his parent-teacher conference, they were saying about how he's disruptive and he doesn't listen. And they have this thing where they're teaching him to spell, but they have to break it up. It's like if they're doing race car, they're like, okay, we have to go slash whatever she was saying. Like you slash the word in half, and it's a dance with learning how to spell. And I looked at her and I said, well, no wonder why he can't effing spell, because he has to learn a dance move at the same time.
Yeah.
Just teach him to spell the word.
Yeah.
And I bet
All
you
this
he
extra
will learn how to
crap.
spell the word.
Curriculum changed a lot.
And
like-
and then when I explained it to her that way, I was like, I'm telling you right now, his brain, when you're telling him to slash this, he's thinking, he's like,
putting
I'm
way
going to
too
fight.
much-
So that's how
Yeah.
Lincoln is.
Yeah.
And he's not processing spelling and dancing. He's seeing you go like this, and he's thinking like, I'm fighting monsters. And I know
Yes,
his
because he's
brain,
a
and I know-
5-year-old little boy.
And
Holy.
I said, if you take away all those extra things and you just teach him the word,
Yeah.
he's going to improve. And she did it, and she's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I was like,
You're adding way too
Yeah.
much for me to
Yeah.
process.
yeah.
now.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even
You're
be able to
making
do
it
that.
Yeah.
difficult. Stick to the basics.
What were you going to say
man.
about your niece, Niz?
I don't remember.
He's like, I don't remember. Well, I watched this documentary.
Smart. Yeah.
Did she? He's
She's
like,
super smart. She's super independent. She's like.
how old is she?
She's a freshman.
See, but that's most girls, and I want to have I want to have a whole
She was
podcast.
like 6.
Yeah.
Fucking running shit. Like,
Really?
She's super. That's her
she's-
mom though too.
she's
She's
superior.
her mom's super smart and been right from the beginning, like
off the top.
reading books
Really?
to her, like just
Everything we say.
Her vocabulary was
Yeah.
crazy already when she was little.
But so your sister obviously didn't homeschool her, right? But by watching her do all these things, it's almost a sense of homeschooling because your niece.
Oh, she
was
did a lot of
obviously paying attention
totally,
to all of it.
totally.
Oh
Doing-
man.
Took her to her business.
Yeah,
Every-
see,
every
Like showed her
day.
business. Like
Yes, that-
she is like really
Superior,
brilliant.
man.
Like
That
I've
is
seen
gross.
stuff and I'm just like, wow, what the heck?
So
Like
Seth went to daycare at his aunt Kelly's house, which is Grandma Kay's daughter, which is my daughter's aunt's house. So he learned to read like before he went to kindergarten. So in his little head, like you don't need to send me to school. You can just. He's always wanted to be homeschooled since I can remember, and I didn't. Well, I watched this documentary about Marc Andre. What?
Well, I was thinking, like, what, did he not want to be homeschooled because he didn't want to go to school, or because he never wanted to put shoes and a shirt on?
Oh.
I
Seth
think
was
he
the
wore
epitome
shirt
of a
and
boy.
shoes until he
Like
was,
literally, he was the. And it's funny because as much as he was like a raw, he was still like, "Where's my mom?" Like I had to be right there. Like the whole cans. We had to buy him a watch because he wanted to see how hard he had to get. I mean, how much he had to get angry to turn into the Hulk because he thought he would turn into the Hulk.
And
Like he
bust the
was a
watch.
boy. Yeah.
His Hulk voltage.
Yes,
Just like
like-
it's almost there, mom. You
Yeah,
gotta watch that.
yeah. He was
I'm
he was
looking
very
at the green.
emotional. He was a boy. Like I literally walked away from my very best friend and an engagement because he couldn't handle. Seth would come up and just like punch me in my thigh, and then I would like turn around and. But that was my relationship I created with my son. I've been on the floor rolling with him since he was 2 years old. We would wrestle. We would play football. We would jump on each other. Like I was so excited to have a boy. My daughter's my boy too, but
Well, and that's another thing that's kind of interesting because we want our boys to be boys. We want them to be masculine. We want them to be everything that
Yes.
the world is going to be.
yes.
But I will tell you right now, that's why there's such thing called a mama's boy. Every single boy who turns into a man, his number one is
His
the
mom.
mom. Listen to the mom. The mom raises him. The mom does all this stuff.
Mm.
So, it's like kind of like, hey, you know,
I know
you get what
Evan
I'm
from-
saying?
yeah.
Like we're like
From-
we want our men to be men. Like I mean, fucking
I think we do. We want them to be men, but we want them to respect women,
right.
Yeah.
right? Because of their mom. If their mom's like,
So the way
their-
I look
they-
at
you
it
know?
is when I think about a man, I say for like my sons or like men that I'm going to be with, when you present yourself to the world, you are a man. You are strong. You're a provider. You are all
Yes.
these things like epitome of a man. But when you come home to me, your woman, or me, your mother, or your sister, or the women in your lives, you can be soft behind that closed door.
Sure.
You can be to
Mhm.
those women. But
Sure,
the
to those
outside-
ones.
To the outside
Yes.
world,
Mhm.
no. And
Yes.
that's
Well,
the thi- and
we
that
talk
is, I
about
think,
the like
balance.
the whole thing when I say whether if you're a man that can be the
Oh, yeah,
lamb and the
yeah.
lion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to be. And to me, I think that's the true definition
Yeah.
of a man that can be both. When some that can't, you're just too weak that you can never be the lion. Like I'm kind of like I don't really respect you all that much. I'm sorry, but I'll
But do
be
you
straight
think
up.
that you
Just
could
like your
force him?
sister would be,
That's
like,
gotta
hey,
be-
I'm not really respecting that. Like if you're not that rough or you're not this, like I kind of like.
But sometimes it's not the guy's fault.
I was just gonna say
Well,
that's naturally because we're
it-
comparing to like the lions. Like naturally they do their shit.
that
Sometimes
it's not his fault.
You need like people beneath you. Like sometimes not
I
everybody
get
can
it,
be
but
a
it's not his
lion.
fault. But if we were out in the jungle, then this one would get picked off and die.
Oh yeah, you're dead. You're fucking
You know what I
dead,
mean?
bro.
So you know what?
Oh, you're
dog
gone.
eat
All I,
dog.
I learned when I was young that I just got to be faster than you. So.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're fucking dead.
So really, like
Yeah.
only the weak, the strong survive. So you know what? When he gets to that, like, but we just
that's just the fucking.
So Seth
shit.
always
That's
says
just how
that,
it
like
goes, though.
fighting with my nephews, fighting with like all of them. Like sometimes he'll be like, "Yeah, well, Michael used to this and BJ's," but now it's like he tells some of his baseball buddies, like, "Dude, you guys don't have brothers or cousins you fought with," and you could tell, like,
It shows.
yes, and I
My-
was,
my step my grandpa got married again, so I had another grandma, but one day she had brought that up, and she's like, you know, boys when they need that around them, they got to have cousins, they
Yes.
got to have other boys, so they're like little cubs, right? They're like little cubs that are learning how to fight, learning how to go after their food, learning how to all these things. But when you keep these little boys and they're just like one little boy, I only have one son, he's all by himself, and I'm homeschool him, and he never gets around none of the other boys. You think that boy, when he goes out into the world, is going to be able to know what men do and how men act? Like Larry, I was talking to Larry, my one of my good buddies that I live with, and he was like, "Hey, when I was young, I'd go up to the top of the hill with all my cousins, and everybody and we'd do all these things, and you learned like boy stuff. But
Yes.
That's so important.
we got those
It
boys that
is.
are isolated a lot of times,
Yeah.
and then you're wondering, well, how come he's not?
That you can tell, like the only other white kid that comes every now and then, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say his name, but he is raised with all women. His mom,
Yeah,
his
he
sister.
Yes.
needs
But
that time when he comes over there.
comes over and like the
Yeah.
minute
And
he
he's
sees
a
Lincoln- the minute
wild,
he sees
yes.
Lincoln and then
He
both
wants
of
to be
them,
a boy.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
He loves all the boys.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
They
more.
need
I
that.
find that more important now too. I'm
Sure.
trying to do that with my son too more now than
Yeah.
ever because it's like radiant. Like now you can
Totally.
see like, yo, Dad, what are we doing today? It's like what?
when you get
You don't
boys
wanna stay
together.
home and play like with your
Yeah.
toys and shit.
And the
He's like,
shit that they
"Let's
do, like
go
I remember, so
somewhere."
I have my two older, they're a year and a half, and my second two are a year and a half apart. So they're like little pairs, But I remember the older two, they jam down on their big wheels, and you could see them like, what the hell are they doing? What are they getting involved? You see the friggin' RV? They're like, yeah. All right. The other one gets down on all fours, climbs on his back, climbs up the RV ladder on the back of it to go to the top of the neighbor's RV. Then I got to be, hey, what are you doing? Like, no, you knock that shit down. But, later on, after my first pair, would get into all this crazy shit. The second pair, like, they'd be climbing on top of the fence, up on top of the shed in the backyard, climbing the
Because
telephone
they're trying
pole.
to keep up with the two.
He'll be fine.
And then, and I was like, no
Leave
big
him.
deal now.
Yeah.
Like, we were,
First pair made it.
yeah.
But to see them all grow up, like she said on Sunday yesterday, like BJ's the quiet one who he just chimes in.
He has
like,
one-liners.
Yeah. But to see Mike, like when we're all sitting there, as strong as women as we are, because we are vocal, sometimes you can't even hear us because the guys, and I love that because the guys are so loud. And I love that my son and even her boys, like her Dom, will get in that conversation. He doesn't care. And sometimes she has to tell him, like, you're 13, like, go play with the kids.
But I say that, and then Seth will be like, "No, if you have an opinion, don't let her tell you to quit.
That's
You do it."
part-
And that's
that part.
him showing him, like, because I want him to still be a little boy, but then he's having a man be like, "You have an opinion about something, vocalize that opinion."
Yes.
That's right.
And then
I do
I
with
have to
you.
be, and then I
That's
be
right.
I grew up
quiet.
with Tom, a young Tom. Damn.
And I think
Oh, that's scary.
I'm not like a submissive person at all. And I think on Sundays is the only time where, not all the time, but every now and then I'll be like,
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
not like
it's
there's
not very
moments-
often, but that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
only,
heck
yeah.
that's the only house where I think a man can make me be like,
But even when we're
Yeah.
getting at it and one of the guys have an opinion, they'll say, "Hold on, let me speak." And I know what they want to say is, "You cackling women,
Oh,
stop
yeah.
for a second," So they'll nicely interrupt us, and then we have to sit there and listen to whatever they're saying, and then it starts up all over again.
Oh, yeah.
But there's definitely not, like, even her oldest son, Gabe, who's a sweetheart and he's very controlled, very responsible. He's so secure with himself. When he walks, it's like, I know I'm good looking. I know every girl wants me.
Oh,
Like he has this sense about himself where Dom, the middle one, is like, rah. He's just ready to go at any minute. Anything's going to set him off, And Lincoln's still a little bit younger, but being around all of us and the more and more we spend time together, they're all finding their way and everybody's accepting it. And they all know that they can talk to the bigger boys, the older boys. And Seth felt like he really, because Michael again went away to college. So when he went away was when Seth really needed somebody. So he felt like I didn't have anybody. So now I feel like he's like, this is what we have to give to them because I know what I missed. And boys, again, need to be boys.
So what I see is like how, just the generations, like how I think like when I was a kid and I was being raised and like the guys that I know and how I see that they were raised based off how I see kids that are my kids' aged now. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I feel like parents have lost control of their children for the most part.
Yes.
So where Seth, like when he needed somebody and didn't have anybody, the men that the way that they were raised, he was able to find good men, like how you said, like his baseball
Yeah.
coaches and stuff to look up to. And I'm lucky to where my boys now have like Seth in them, to where if say they didn't have them and they had to look to their teammates, like my children would fail, because there's no way I would want my kids to be like to model those kids because
Isn't
of
that
how their
sad?
parents are, and that's sad because there's nowhere to look around for support
Yeah.
and anything, because a lot of these young boys or men, whatever they're going, whatever,
Right.
have no sense of direction, no morals.
Sure.
They're
no
not
this,
being
no that.
raised.
They're not being raised to
Mhm.
be a man. They are
Yeah.
being raised to be
A
very
boy.
dependent kids. That's it.
Yeah.
They're gonna be adult.
Well, that's the thing.
children.
Like you'll know. Like Seth is a mama's boy, plain and simple, and
So
he
is
don't
Ga- so
care.
is Gabriel.
But I left for 7 days, and I don't think I talked to Seth the first 4 days I was there. And then he said, "When are you coming home?" And I said, "He's like, I miss you." I was like, "I miss you too." And that was it. Like he's so self-sufficient. Like he can do cooking, cleaning, wash his own clothes. Like he knows what needs to get done, and he does it. Like I've raised him to be very much like I didn't want him not to be able to take care of himself. God forbid I ever died. I
Well,
wanted
that's the whole idea. That's what we're all trying to get them ready for, right?
Yeah,
To
but
be
that
able
doesn't
to
happen.
sustain this world that's, and be, resilient and all these different things, because it's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
So we got to make them tough and rough and all this stuff, But
Does Solomon have
the
kids?
idea.
Solomon has 2 girls. I know, Solomon, you've been quiet this whole time.
You guys are doing just good without me.
Yeah, he has 2 girls. And I said I want to do another episode because I know my daughter's going to watch this and be like, she is literally probably the toughest out of all of them. Like, she's only what, 5'2"?
Yeah.
So she barbecued and hosed down the backyard yesterday. Because you weren't here, you missed it. I refuse to hose down the backyard anymore.
She heard that podcast.
There's a 30-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 21-year-old, all 6 feet tall, all boys. Well, young men, whatever you want to call them. Why is the 5'4" nothing hosing down the backyard?
Because you just go and do it.
So I refuse to do it now. So we decided to barbecue. Bubba, you barbecuing? Lo, are you barbecuing? So here she is, the barbecuer, and she went back there. I said, "Oh, I don't hose it down. You better talk to those boys in the house." She hosed it down. I was like, "There's my boy. That's my boy."
I mean,
Yes.
again,
But I will say this, we had a different life before Seth was born. We were in the projects, we were having fun, we were doing things we probably shouldn't have been doing. I was 16 when I had her. Like she rode through me with everything and no complaints ever.
what fixes then this topic? The boys will be boys, and they like homeboy said up there, like we're fucking watering kids down, and that's making watered down men and all that. What fixes?
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
How do you? It's fucking shit trickles down. You know what I mean? So like, what do we do? You can't separate a boy from his mom because his mom is his fucking life support, life source. And that's.
But
that,
you
that's
know what?
That's
So-
because you could be a single father too. Because I know people have homies that are single fathers, and they got to play the mom role now
Yeah.
too.
But okay, so let me.
We got
make
about
this fit.
5 minutes.
So
let's-
towards
What
that.
fixes that then?
So,
What
but
fixes
towards
our
that, look at
problem?
the women sometimes need to step out of that and need to allow the man to be the man. And I'm going to use an example. I have an example. So I have 4 boys, right? So we're all upstairs, 2 of them in the middle, talking shit to each other, my 21-year-old and my 25-year-old, right? And so they start like, "I'll beat your ass. I'll be, this and that." So I'm there. All right, you go ahead and wrestle. Do your thing, right? So they go at it, right? And the 25-year-old pins the 21-year-old down, which, I'm like, and he's got him with his knee on his throat, right? And he's got him pinned down. Now the 21-year-old, which they're younger at the time, that's their ages now, right? But he's like, "Fuck you, Dad," right? So downstairs, my ex, she's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Tom? Why are you allowing it?" Hey, you stay out of this, right? You stay out of this, right? So, but she's not gonna, right? And this is what a lot of the women are doing, but you don't know. And then I'll explain it to her later. But so she comes in there, and then, I end up breaking it up, doing all this. "Why the hell would you do that? Look, you need to stay out of it." And then, "What do you mean that?" I said, "Listen, you keep on telling me every day about how the 21-year-old is picking on the 19-year-old, right? Didn't you tell me that all the time? And you don't like it, right? Now he just got a little taste of his own medicine.
Yeah.
Now that was teaching him that. You didn't need to know that, and I didn't need to tell you. I'm a man. Stay out of it.
But what happens when the man's
But-
not there?
Well, then,
Because that's what's happening more and more in society. The men.
then that's going to happen.
not
You're going to get
there.
a weak boy because the man
That's
has
true,
to be
because So
there.
you're saying that a woman herself can't raise a strong man?
Not without another man. No. Wait, listen to me. Listen, wait, back
Uh-oh.
up. Let me explain myself.
You're
Let me-
about to get jumped by two women.
No, I'm not. Listen to me.
That's what
You
the thing is. Like, let boys be boys.
Let me
Who's letting?
Let me explain
who's
it.
your
We
boy?
just got done talking about, you even gave the example. I have him underneath these other men that are around him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you can't. You can't do it by yourself.
I know to
If
an
you were the only woman there and you only had him around women, you can't.
Yeah.
Period.
I know, I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Because to an extent,
So
I can
you
raise him to
can-
be a strong person. So I believe I can raise him to be a strong person. I cannot raise him to
You
just
can't
be a
raise him to
man
know
because I
about
don't know
being
how
a
to be
man. You can't.
So, no, I do agree
So
with
you
on
have
that
to,
way.
the way you would have to do that, and like she did too.
With baseball,
You
with the
take
baseball
him
cap.
and you have him around other strong-minded
Okay.
men that are good men, that are seeing that are grandpas, that are uncles,
Yeah.
that are whoever they are, that are those strong men, and they have to see, just like you said before, he has to learn how to measure himself up to the next man.
Yeah.
So I am going to stand up for what I just said, and I was right. You don't like it. You didn't like it at first because
the way you
needed,
said it.
doesn't matter.
Yes,
you
it
need
does.
you need to allow the person. Don't
Like a
get
man
look
can't
at
raise a
look at
little girl to be a woman.
look.
Yeah.
She's not a
Yeah.
woman.
We just
And
got done
see, that was
saying-
a quick agree right
Yeah.
there.
But it's the way
flip
you
side.
said it.
No, but the
said it.
thing is, we can't handle. Go back to this. You have to come around from the back. We can't handle direct. When I said it direct, you guys had walls. Bam, walls, right? So I had to, and I can't every time because we got a limited amount of time. I can't go around the back door every time for you and make it all soft and make it. No, it's direct and it's hard and it's not nice and shit
We're
ain't nice and this is
women.
how it's got to be.
That's exactly what it is. So we're raising whose version of a boy into a man now. It could be a woman's version or a man.
But there are a lot of females that are trying to do that and say, I don't need no man to show my man.
I don't.
Da-da-da.
That's just stupidity to me.
Well, there it is
That's
there.
just- my son didn't need his father. My son needed a strong, stable, reliable man.
Well, had it
in
been his
life.
father, would have
Well,
really been great too.
it would have
and it would have
been.
been a good
It would have
thing.
been. But
hey,
that's
you have
not who it is.
whatever the alternative is.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to find a way, right? So,
Yeah.
but you have to have another strong man to show that. You have to have another good example, another mentor, somebody in his life that's going to speak positive, that's going to uplift him, that's going to encourage him to be the best version of himself.
And unfortunately, that goes back to how we were talking earlier. Like, not everybody, like, I'm lucky that I have multiple strong men. for my kids,
100%.
but not everybody has that because
Yeah.
people have lost the sense of community. People
Yeah.
are so only.
But they
worried
got to
about
go out and
themselves.
search that out, and they got to try to
Yeah.
surround themselves around that, just for their own mental health, just in everything. Like
Yeah.
my friends who I surround myself, I only have good people. Alina, Michael, my friends, my friend Dina. Like I put myself in that because if anything I'm around, I want that to bleed off, and I want those kind of people to bleed off on
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
around me in my own head
Yeah.
and my loved one's head.
And I think the biggest thing you're teaching your kid before we leave too is that men can drink and they're not going to fight. They're not going to get mad because they do mimosas on Sunday. And nobody gets like, because typically
Men
Mexicans
can drink
like,
and they're like, they do mimosas on Sunday.
I guess I guess like, it's still, well, yeah, I
Anyway,
guess that's
the
like,
point is,
the point is,
I think we get it.
Yeah.
I think we get it. We want boys to be boys.
Yeah.
So just let them be boys naturally without mom's influence, with more of dad's
Yeah.
natural masculine influence. But let's fucking both have a combined like mental. Let's be in the same spot as far as teaching them shit.
yep.
You want your boy to be a boy, let him be rough. Let dad fucking clean him up, patch him up. When he needs a hug, because, the other boy kicked his ass, mom's there. It's got to be a community
both,
thing.
yeah.
It's got to be a both thing. So if you want your boy to be a boy, let the man show him. If the man's not there, do your best and just try and give him around and show him the other men.
But don't go getting involved right
Don't
there
go
and let the
fucking
man
down
do
to the
his job
hood
with the
and show
man.
'em
Don't
fucking
go out there and
West
try to
Side
get in the
how
middle
they
of that.
do it
Yeah.
and-
Don't do that, man. You're
Don't
screwing
show
up
him
when you
how
do
to
that. I see
fucking
it all the
go
time.
Chase money.
women are doing it all the time.
girls.
Yeah.
You
No.
want them to learn something, show them how to teach a book. And women do that very well. My wife does a great job while I'm working my ass off hard.
Wait, did we get married?
Who?
You.
Not yet.
Okay, because she was fiance.
Oh,
now she's
but
okay.
anyway.
No,
Like,
that's okay.
She's technically
I-
legally my wife or whatever, right?
Okay. All right, no,
The
I
old
was-
ball and
It's
chain.
I was going to say we didn't say congratulations.
No,
that's all.
but here's
Okay.
the thing, a quick one. When I am trying to be the best version of what everybody thinks is, man, all that shit, blah, blah. When I'm working hard, I'm doing my thing, I'm out there fucking grinding, traveling, not as much with my kids as much. My wife does an excellent job of showing them smart educational things, observant of their diets, observant of everything too. She's helping me be a man to him when she is like, yo, go be a man. She lets me be, she lets me do her thing. But at the same time, I know I'm not gonna fucking too much of anything is bad, but too much man can be bad. So go back to your mom.
Yeah.
And you better fucking respect her.
Yeah.
That's the man like letting the fucking kid go. And then when the mom is like, okay, here, I love you, mijo. You're gonna go be the best boy.
Yeah.
Go to your dad, and the dad's like, come here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're gonna go clean. You're gonna go clean.
See?
Go take your ass in the back door.
Yeah, we're doing some
Yes.
yard work,
Dirty.
sucker.
Yes.
Sock
Yeah.
your sister. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sock you.
Yeah. No, and that's what it really
But
comes down to. Yes.
That's what it should be. And that's
And-
what we were saying,
yeah.
community. Because
Yeah.
I will never be able to teach a woman how to be a woman. And a woman could, but won't really ever teach a man. how
I
to
can't
be
teach my son how to pee. I can't
Right.
teach him how to be
Yeah.
a man.
Right.
That's my best
Right.
example I tell people.
We tell people in the tattoo world, like, it's fucking, how do you tattoo people's head or face if you don't have that? How do they ask you, hey, what's it feel like? You're like, oh, it's going to hurt, man. Like, how do you know? If you don't have any tattoos yourself,
Yeah.
where you're doing,
Yeah.
So it's kind of the
Yeah.
same shit.
Yeah.
Let it be naturally. Lions and tigers and bears, all that shit. They do it naturally, dude.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do it naturally. That kid
Well,
becomes out.
Thank
cool.
you very much, Niz. You totally, actually, both of you like summed it all up. I appreciate it very much.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Was that cool? Can
you did a great job
Yeah.
being tormented by these
Thank
two.
you, yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Solomon,
You almost
thank
let out
you.
No
the
problem.
Tom. You almost let out Tom right there.
I would be scared of Tom when he was
Solomon
younger.
almost, the screen went off and everything. I was like, nope.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys for listening, watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. There's a TikTok and Instagram. All of the you don't have a TikTok, right? You just have Instagram.
Just Instagram.
One Drop Tattoo, Lexi's and Tom's and Mr. Dancing Feet over here, Happy Feet over here.
All right,
Yeah.
Look at that. That shirt got smaller and smaller through the whole thing, dude. It's a man.
Veins
over
are
there.
popping out right now.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.